want to give an opportunity for all of the people in the audience that were a part of the film in any way, including cast members and crew and extras. Would you please stand? I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the members of the cast and crew that are no longer here. So if you will bear with me for a minute, I want to acknowledge the director of the film, Ivan Dixon. The lead actor, the Spook, Lawrence Cook. Daddy, Paul Butler. Stud Davis, Don Blakely. Okoro, Harold Johnson. One of the CIA operatives, Leonard Norris. Brother that was the lead stuntman, Ernest Robinson. Michael Hugo, who was the cinematographer. They are all now no longer with us, but living in the spirit of the film, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. When I was Paula Kelly's no longer with us? Paula passed? Wow, Paula Kelly, I didn't know. Paula Kelly. Yeah, I mentioned Ivan. You know, Sam has never had a limited amount of things to say. When I was 20, I had the opportunity to work on this film. And thank you. And you know, I didn't want to play Shorty Duncan. I told Sam that I wanted to be one of the Cobras because they had the opportunity to blow up stuff, to shoot guns, to run around and do all of that. And Sam said, and I believe I want to quote him, and I normally don't use this word, nigga, you shorty. I'd like to acknowledge one of the people who set the standard for all of us that moved forward in this business and created an industry that stood on the importance of creating things that would last, Brother Sam Greenlee. Sam's going to join us on stage in a few minutes. I just wanted to purposely and publicly acknowledge him first. And I'm going to invite Queuing Jones to the stage, who's going to move the discussion forward. So Queuing, please. And young man, if you can start bringing Sam to the stage for us, that would be great. Come on, Queuing.
All right, we are not done, and we're about to get into some really good conversation here, some good food for the soul, but we've got some real soul food for you after this too, so I don't want you to leave. I don't mean a light reception. I'm talking stuff like chicken and waffles, like real food. Anybody feel like they could use a little something to eat after this? Okay. We just appreciate you being with us. As we're getting set up here, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Tracy Matthews. I know that she is dear to many of you. We're very thankful for them. University of Chicago, thank you for your support. Dr. Matthews is a historian, a curator, and a documentary filmmaker. She is currently the Associate Director for the Center of the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture at the University of Chicago. Dr. Matthews.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the DuSable Museum and Pomone Rami for inviting the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture to participate in this very important program and to give us the opportunity to properly thank Sam Greenlee and acknowledge this very important film. So thank you, Dr. Adams and Pomone, and also I'd like to acknowledge also Ms. Quing Jones for all her work to pull this program together, and all the other staff at the DuSable Museum for helping to make this day as smooth as it has been so far. I have the privilege of introducing Sam Greenlee to you. For those of you who may not be as familiar with his background and all the accomplishments that he's made, I'm going to read his bio. Sam Greenlee is a poet, fiction writer, novelist, essayist, screenwriter, producer, director, actor, and teacher. And he's employed the Black literary tradition to produce such great masterpieces as the one we just saw, The Spook Who Sat by the Door, as a novel, and Baghdad Blues. As a young man, this Chicago native attended the University of Wisconsin, where he received his bachelor's degree in 1952, and he also studied at the University of Chicago from 1954 to 57. And the University of Thessaloniki in Greece from 63 to 64. His career started as a United States Information Agency Foreign Service officer in Iraq, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Greece. And his military service included time in the U.S. Infantry, U.S. Army Infantry from 1952 to 1954. In The Spook Who Sat by the Door, Mr. Greenlee presents a satirical novel that criticizes the racist atmosphere of the United States by examining the life of a fictitious black CI agent, Dan Freeman. References to Freeman as a spook in both the title and the novel possess a sense of the duality or double consciousness, spook used as a racial slur directed against blacks, in addition to being a slang term for spies. Greenlee uses this duality, as we saw, to establish a connection between Freeman's character and the African-American experience during the turbulent 1960s, which parallels Greenlee's time in service. Sam Greenlee is also known for works such as Blues for an African Princess, a collection of poems, his novel Baghdad Blues, and Ammunition, Poetry and Other Raps, all dealing with African Americans' pain, anger, and fear, particularly those who are caught up in the racism and oppression of working at government agencies. Greenlee's contributions to the literary tradition in African American literature have caused his readers to examine closely the racial awareness or unawareness within agencies and institutions that are designed to serve all Americans. His presentation of African Americans' duality and paradoxical existence in a racist society is still providing scholars with the text to investigate themes of racism. Greenlee is masterful in his presentation of characters and community, and his work is a shining example of the African American literary tradition. And I'm going to ask Mr. Greenlee if he would grace us with a few comments.
Can you hear me? I have to get closer to this mic. There we go. Yeah. Look, I'm pleased and honored to be invited here by Moon and Carol, because I've known about the DuSable Museum since it was in Margaret and Charlie Burroughs' basement. Now, it originated in the building just north of here, which had been a former police station. At one time, the police force was divided between the park police and the rest of them. And I first was acquainted to it when I returned from years abroad, and Hoyt Fuller invited me to a meeting of the Obasi Writers Workshop, Organization Black American Culture. And we were meeting in Margaret's living room at the time. And I went downstairs and I was overwhelmed. And so I became involved with the museum in its infancy. And I'm particularly pleased that I'm honored to be here, because I used to just do what Margaret wanted me to do.